Welcome to this episode of the Brush and Soap and Blade Podcast, where we look forward to shaving every day. Welcome to episode 80 of the podcast. My name is Rick Louise. I'll be your host this week. First off, I need to tell you about my new Zoom H5 digital recorder. I told you I'd ordered one. Well, I finally got it. I'll tell you a little bit about it. Life is good here in the studio and at the house because, well, I have coffee again. So we'll talk about that. A quick shave of the day. I took some time to place some orders out there for shave-related stuff and talk a little bit about that. Another shave of the day. This one was on a Saturday. Well, with some coffee and a little bit of a reflection. I took a trip to the dentist. I'll tell you what I found out and how it went. It's amazing what I get away with. Another shave of the day, and finally, I went to replace a simple ceiling fan and went off on a rant. Oh well, it's been one of those weeks. Anyhow, that's the show this week. So let's get started. So I'm really excited because, lo and behold, I get home, and there, sitting at the doorstep, is a box. And inside the box is, well, the Zoom H5 audio recorder, the digital audio recorder that I bought on Massdrop that I have been, well, looking forward to. And after about, maybe 5 minutes of playing around with it, plug in a mic and off to the races of recording we go. And so far, I like it a lot. It allows me to monitor when I need to. It's very easy to record. I had to, as I was playing with it, and I did some recording on it, and then listen back, and have to turn the gain down just a little bit because I seem to have some peaks, and it clips just a little bit. But the nice thing is that there's a nice protected gain knob for the input, for the microphone input. So all in all, I'm really, really happy with it. It's going to be curious when I go and hook this up to the computer and put it in Audacity and see what the waveform looks like and see what I need to do to maybe boost the bass just a little bit because it sounds, at least in monitoring, that the treble's a little light, which is okay. The mid-range is really strong, which is great for vocals, but the bass is also a little weak. And again, that's okay. That was the same thing when I was recording straight into Audacity, or if I'm recording straight into my other digital recorder from a microphone. It's and that's one of the reasons, as a matter of fact, that I bought the mixer, is to just give just a touch more bass, not much, but just a touch. And it's really interesting that when you do add just a little bit, there's a richer tonal quality that comes from it, and a little goes a long way, and you can overdo it quickly. And that's the mistake that some people make, is they'll buy a microphone like a PR40 that is naturally a pretty bassy microphone, and then they'll throw a bunch of bass on top of it, and before you know it, it's almost sounding like they're in a bucket, a bucket of bass mud. But we try to avoid that here, being hopefully the maybe not professionals, but semi-pro. How about that? The audio semi-pros that, well, we try to be anyhow. So the Zoom H4, it's so far, I mean, it's real easy to understand, real easy to manipulate, very easy to set up. I'm real happy with it. It's a little bit bigger than what I thought it was. Now, my old one is a little Tascam DR7, just for size comparison, and it's, I don't know, if you look at a pack of cards, it's about as thick, maybe just a touch more than a pack of cards, about a pack and a half high, and as far as width, I call it 7/8. It's pretty close to the size of a pack of cards. This one is oh, maybe just, it's about the width of a pack of cards, a pack and a half thick and a pack and a half tall. That's probably the easiest way to describe it. It's got a nice rubbery exterior on it that makes it very easy to manipulate because it just sits readily in the hand, and you've got a nice secure grip on it just because of the material that it's made out of. So that's really, really nice. Again, the setup was I don't know, for me anyhow, a quick peruse through the instruction book, and within 10 minutes I'm recording. I've got a noise limiter, I've got a compressor on there. It's all the things that I really want. It seems to be, well, just about dirt simple as far as that goes. I mean, very straightforward. Recording is very easy. You can turn on your input and then hit the record button, and it'll just naturally sit there and increment up the number of recordings. I'm currently recording this file in as a mono file, which again is great for voice. No reason to overdo it and do stereo. It's funny, when I was first started out in podcasting, I recorded everything, on an Audacity track, and the natural Audacity track is a stereo track, so everything was being recorded in stereo. And, of course, I wanted it to be high quality, so I was recording it at a high bit rate and everything else, and I was amazed that my file sizes were so big. And then I got to learning a little bit and realized that, okay, first off, you don't need stereo. You can do quite nicely with mono. Okay. Well, with that said, knocking it down to mono decreased the size of my files greatly, and then when I bumped back the quality, the sampling rate, just a little bit, not super high, but enough to do a very, very beautiful job with voice, but nowhere near as what you would need for orchestra music or anything like that. And all of a sudden my file sizes get knocked down to an exceedingly reasonable size. So it's good stuff, and I'm glad I learned that, because when I changed podcast hosts, well, all of a sudden I am paying for megabyte uploads. And when you do that, if your file sizes are too big, especially for a show that runs, anymore on average about an hour, it can get cost prohibitive. In other words, you think you can get by with, a certain size program for a year, and turns out, well, gee, I could do that, but only if I do a show every other week. And then, of course, it can still only be an hour long. Yeah. So it's a good thing to know. So if there's anybody out there wanting to start a podcast about something, keep that in mind. So one of the things that also has happened this last week, which I haven't really talked about yet, is I got on the internet, got onto Sweet Maria's website, and ordered me some more coffee, some more green coffee beans, about 10 pounds worth. And I have been just, thoroughly enjoying. I've got some coffee beans from Peru. And I'm here to tell you, Peruvian coffee in a medium roast is, golly, that's good stuff. That reminds me, though, it's when I went to the dentist, I was told that I had a little bit of extra staining. And what have you been doing? Drinking coffee, tea? No, it's definitely coffee. Oh, and it's good coffee. And, oh, yeah, by the way, I roast my own. And, well, how hard is that? Well, that's not hard. So here I am. I'm in the dentist office of all places, and I'm evangelizing for roasting your own coffee and wet shaving. And, oh, goodness, I have seriously gone off the deep end. But I enjoy every minute of it. And it's we have a lot of laughs. And so anyhow, I wanted to let everybody know that yes, all is good in the household, because we do have coffee, And so between the coffee and the adult beverages, we can regulate the situation quite nicely. Coffee in the morning and adult beverages at night, and keep things to an even keel and smooth sailing. So today I'm running, just a little bit late, and because I'm running just a little bit late, I had to kind of hurry up the shave just a tad. And in those circumstances, when I do that, I automatically and instinctively reach for a cream, whether that is one of the old spice creams that I have, a Tojo, a Spike, a L'Occitane. One of the creams. And the reason that I grab for the creams is that in addition to the cream, I also reach for my Police-On brush. And the reason I do that is it's a synthetic brush, and I don't need to soak it. I just need to get it damp, and then I can go to town lathering and within very short notice be able to shave. So this morning, that's what I did, and quite honestly, I only did one pass. And socially acceptable shave, quite honestly, it's really, for a one-pass shave, dang, it's not bad. Very, very impressive. It's I used my my Gillette Slim adjustable set on a 5 with a Gillette silver blue blade in it, and it's got about 3 or 4 shaves on it now, and was very impressed. I used L'Occitane soap, or soap. Here I am just telling you about creams, and then I call it a soap. Duh. Anyhow, I used a L'Occitane cream, and of course, filled the whole place with the lovely scents of lavender in the morning, and quite honestly, being springtime, it's just. That's a lovely scent. It just truly is. That's kind of the way to start the day. But it was very pleasant. And while I was in a hurry, I found that I wasn't rushed, which was nice. It's it's one thing to be in a hurry and rushed, and everything just kind of gets on your nerves, and you're just anxious and anticipating failure or delay at any step. And so to be able to move quickly, decisively, but yet not feel rushed, that's a nice thing, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. So good stuff this morning. No aftershave, only because I wanted to maintain the hint of lavender for a while, because I enjoyed it so much, and it is supposed to be calming and have a calming effect, and so maybe that's why I didn't feel rushed. I don't know, but Police-On, of course, did an excellent job. It's my only. It's not my only synthetic brush. I do have a little cheap kabuki brush that still it also holds up very well. Has a little bit more backbone than the Police-On, but it's also a much denser brush. Doesn't hold quite as much soap. So there's kind of a balance. When you start getting the things too dense, it just can't hold as much. It's got fibers in the way. But anyhow, that was the shave of the day this morning. Okay, so I don't know exactly what I've done here. I think it was just I pressed the recording button again, and it started recording. So life is good. And what I wanted to talk about, just real briefly here, is the orders that I placed yesterday, right after or during the editing segment of the podcast. That's the nice thing about being on a new computer. I can actually multitask. So while I was editing or monitoring the editing of the podcast, in one window, I was on the internet surfing around, and I was ordering some stuff. I ordered a new razor. Phoenix Accoutrements, or Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements, PAA. I would need to come up with a better name for that. That's just, it's a mouthful. I'm just going to call them Phoenix. Okay. So anyhow, Phoenix has a safety razor that they've had out for a while now, and I have been, intrigued by the design of the head of this razor. And the reason I'm intrigued is that the top cap is, in fact, got a bunch of, like, slots in it. So it looks almost like a rake, and looking at it, you're thinking, oh my God, that's aggressive. But in fact, what it's designed to do is act as a lather catcher, act as a soap catcher, to give you a very nice glide with the soap that it catches. And so I went ahead and ordered one of those. Like I said, I've been intrigued. People have been giving this thing really nice reviews. They've really been complimentary of it. And so I wanted to try it out and, see what all the hoopla is about. And of course, it doesn't hurt at all that it just, looks just cool. I mean, it really does. It just looks cool. So that's always a good thing, regardless of what anybody says, okay, it is, an added bonus. It truly is an added bonus when not only do you have the traditional old style of shaving thing going on with the brush and the soap and lather and all this, but, when you pick up a razor that just looks, cool, that's one of the draws, I guess it is, with straight razors. Because regardless of what anybody says, straight razors just look cool. They really, really do. I mean, you have to hand it to anybody who can routinely shave with a straight razor. There's just there's a quality to that individual that, you just kind of, there it is, right there. You don't, even if you don't know quite what it is, there it is. And so, to a certain extent, it's like that with traditional razors, and this one happens to kind of just ooze coolness, and so I wanted to pick one of those up. Now, in addition to that, I got a couple of Phoenix's soaps. There have been a couple that I've wanted to try for a while. The lavender and cedar is one that I've really wanted to try, ever since, back in the day, and just never got around to ordering it. And so I decided, since I'm ordering this razor anyhow, I'll go ahead and order some of that. I also ordered some gondolier, which is was something that I had wanted to order for quite some time, and again, just never got around to it. And I think I picked up one other thing, but for the life of me, I can't remember what it was. But anyhow, I then wandered over to Maggard's, and specifically at Maggard's, I was looking for some aftershaves, and unfortunately, the aftershaves that I was particularly interested in, namely Ogallala and Fine, they did not have they weren't in stock. I ended up buying a couple of Fine samples, only to replenish and, fulfill my needs short term. But, it speaks to the popularity because both operations, both Fine and I know Ogallala, and I'm pretty sure this is true of Fine, these are not like large scale operations. These are small entrepreneurial businesses that have done an amazing job and have become so dang blasted popular that, I can't get some of my favorite scents. Dang it. Which, don't get me wrong, bad for me, great for them, and they deserve all the success that they get because, it's good stuff. So, no worries, guys. I'm not complaining for the sake of denigrating. It's just, I'd really like to get my hands on some of your stuff, and, right now I haven't been able to, at least in the couple of places that I've looked. So the search will continue, and we won't give up. That's for sure. Nothing's that bad. So I did order a few soaps from them as well. I ordered a Tiki, and the one that I've got, and I can't remember the name of it. It'll be a nice surprise when it comes in, because I can't remember the name of it, and I don't want to look at the order just to be able to say the name. But it's one that the fragrance, the scent of it just was, well, rather intriguing, and so I wanted to give it a try. It's kind of a an incense and moss type smell, and so we wanted to give that a shot. I have some Tiki samples, but nothing is quite. I don't know if the scent is what it was described as. I will be more than happy with a full container of the soap, and so we'll try that out. And so there you go. That's kind of what I do when I spend some time, doing the podcast, putting it together, editing. It's not all work. Let's not get too carried away. It's sometimes I do have, well, a little bit of fun. It's a wonderful morning, a little bit drippy. My neighbor left a boat in the street. What the heck? I mean, I understand having a boat, but leaving it in the street? I mean, come on. I think he bought the boat. He's trying to get rid of another boat, a smaller boat, and I think he bought the bigger boat. But, when you're not paying attention, especially like at night, come flying through there, and all of a sudden, boom, there's a boat in the street. It'll get your attention. Anyhow, it's a nice morning here. Trying to, let's see, what's the best word? Recover. Yes, recover. Recover from a night where the shaverage, otherwise known as the adult beverage, was, well, a little much last night. Oh, well. And so a morning shower, a very hot morning shower on a nice morning with the police on brush and a little bit of Soap Commander's vision to, clear things up just a touch. And, that and the Schick injector. And things are nice. And, good stuff. That, and of course, a real good cup of coffee has made things just about normal. Well, along with a couple of Advil, but I digress. Anyhow, the good thing is that I'm surprised. I'm finding that my coffee, since I bought my AeroPress and have been using my AeroPress in the house. Now, I had one donated to me, and a listener donated. Well, he actually donated it to the Scout Troop, and thank you very much. And that one is in the trailer and has had many, many uses. And, I enjoyed it so much that I mentioned it, and somebody got it for me for a present. Anyhow, the AeroPress has done a real good job of keeping my coffee consumption down to a dull roar. By that I mean that while I drink a good bit of coffee, first off, it's very tasty coffee, but the more important thing is I don't go through beans quite as fast. I roast up a 1/4 pound, and it lasts me about a week and a half, it's looking like, which is, well, really nice. That'll do a lot to conserve the delicate beans of coffee that I have. So, delicate. As long as they're green, there's nothing delicate about them. Now, once they're roasted, maybe a little bit more delicate, And the real tender part is when you grind them up, and then they don't last very long. But yeah, so my little jar of coffee has been lasting a little bit longer than what I thought it would, which is, just a tad surprising. But but a nice surprise. So that's good. So anyhow, the shave of the day was very nice. Again, the Vision, the Police On brush. It was interesting because in the shower I can almost do like a one pass shave with some touch up. But I find that, when I have the time, I don't want to. It's just, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, but I got the soap. It's in the brush. I don't want to waste it. And, so, now granted I did about one serious, call it a 2-pass shave with some touch up. And, it was good, but, yeah, I wonder sometimes if, because I do enjoy shaving. I love the experience and the aromas and the feel of the brush, the feel of, well, even the feel of lathering soap up in your hand or in a bowl, or, I mean, it's just, even face lathering. I mean, I don't know. It's just a nice thing that I do now, that is not mundane, that is something that I look forward to. And I don't know. Personally, I think there are times when I'm just, I've lost it. But it's nice because it's during those times that I lose kind of all sense of everything else except the shave. Which is a very nice diversion, and it's nice to be able to just kind of take the mind and turn off the noise, if you will. It's kind of like having a radio with a bunch of static and, just reaching over for a period of time and turning the squelch knob up until, well, you don't hear it anymore, and you can concentrate on what's going on. So that's good stuff. So that was the shave of the day today, and hopefully everybody else is out there enjoying a fine day as well. So you'll love this. So the appointment that I had to go to today, or this afternoon, was to none other than my dentist. Now, most people dread the dentist, and to be quite honest, there was a time when I too dreaded the dentist, but lo and behold, I don't really dread the dentist anymore. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird in that way too. It's just it's one of those things. But anyhow, so get the teeth cleaned and get to talking to the dentist, and it turns out the dentist knows that I'm into wet shaving, but he didn't know that I had a podcast. Which was rather quite amusing because I didn't know if I'd told him before or not. So we get to talking about that a little bit, and he asked me, he says, well, how long is it? And he's just absolutely amazed that it's an hour long and that you can talk about shaving. I said, well, you talk about all kinds of stuff, and he kind of nods his head, and he's like, okay, yeah, I can kind of see that, and so we proceed to trade tips. And lo and behold, I find out that I'm not changing out my toothbrush often enough. I thought every, 6 months was pretty good. 6 months to a year. It's like, no, apparently not. Apparently, the specialists in the industry are of the opinion that it should be every 3 months. Okay, well, fair enough. I'll change out my toothbrush every 3 months. And in fact, being the nice guy that he is, he threw in an extra one for me just so I wouldn't have to deal with going out and getting another one. So thanks, Doc, and we'll try to stay on top of it. But if I could only figure out how to make brushing my teeth as much fun as shaving. Now there would be a trick, huh? Boy, I'll tell you what, you could make a fortune if you could figure out how to make the experience of brushing your teeth as much fun as what we have shaving. Oh, goodness. It was funny, too, because when he left, he was telling me, to change out my toothbrush more often. He said, yeah, and that can go on there's a tip of the day for the podcast. And I'm like, yeah, I may just do that. And so here I am, right out of the door, and lo and behold, I'm recording it. Oh, the life of a podcaster. Well, it's going to be an interesting day today. It's supposed to get to 80-something degrees today. Holy cow, I love living in the South. I truly do. Anyhow, shave of the day this morning. Just soak the old boar brush, the 1305 Samag, and whipped up a nice lather with some Soap Commander Love. I just, there was something about a rose smell. I don't know, it's interesting. In the springtime, I just love floral scents. It's just, I don't know, it's just something about it. It's that time of year when floral scents just, well, that's what you're, I don't know, it's what you're supposed to use. Anyhow, it was a good shave. It was a great lather, of course. Soap Commander does an excellent job. And heck, I'm not even using a tub of his soap. I'm just using a little sample and still getting absolutely thick, luxurious lathers. So imagine what you could do with a tub of this stuff. And it's just, it is rather incredible when I think about the difference between the little samples and what you would get in the tub. And the ability to lather and load the brush much more efficiently and effectively with a tub or a puck of soap versus a small sample. It's really intriguing, you know. And it's not like I put a lot of work into loading the brush or getting a good lather in the bowl or anything. So it's really easy lathering soap. It's just rather amazing. Anyhow, this morning, after my adventures with the straight razor this weekend, or misadventures as it were, it was time to I don't know, just go back and do something simple. So I snatched up my ever-ready single-edged, it's a 1914 or thereabouts, somewhere in that neighborhood. Make, model, design, and proceeded to shave with one of my old single-edged razors, and did an excellent job. You know, a nice 3-pass shave, just kind of taking her easy and realizing and relaxing with the efficiency and effectiveness of the single-edged blades. It really, it is amazing. You know, you go from a straight razor that does a very effective job on flat surfaces, but because of its size, to me anyhow, it's a little unwieldy in certain areas, and prone to nicks and cuts and scrapes and things on the ends, on the corners, if you will. And then you look at a single-edged razor, and all of a sudden it's got a nice handle on it. It's a certain width that is probably a pretty good compromise for length of the blade itself. You have the corners that are protected and not exposed, so you don't get scratched and gouged up by the corners. And all in all, you just look at it and you go, wow, what a revolution. And the only downside of the whole mechanism, if you will, the downside of the concept, is how you go about sharpening the blades. When it first came out, they had little wedge blades that would be capable of being rehoned and sharpened and stropped and everything else. And you realize that out of the whole system, that's kind of the crux of the issue. And once they got to the point where they could make fairly easily the single-edged razor blades, the disposable blades that go in the single-edged razor, that all of a sudden it becomes an exceedingly viable option. It's compared to a straight razor, well, it's quick, it's easy. You don't have to send your razors out for honing. You can just replace a blade. It rests to hand easily. New guys don't have to figure out how to shave with a straight razor without cutting themselves or doing anything like that. All in all, just it's an exceedingly viable concept. You can almost sense and get a feel for the step change, if you will, in the shaving experience. And it's no wonder that it took off like anything. And of course, when something like that takes off, then all of a sudden it becomes, well, gee, there's a lot of money to be made here, and there's let's do things that will allow us to make money, like ensuring that our patents are up to date, or that whatever we sell is in fact patentable, and et cetera, and protecting those profits and those profit margins. I understand that. It's good business. I mean, realistically, if I could go back in time, one of the if you were able to go back in time to 1910, 1920s era, one of the things that you would probably do, at least if you were in the shaving community anyhow, is buy stock in Gillette. It's if you think about it, it was exceedingly good business sense, but it really is intriguing that things were done from a business standpoint. And a lot of times when you look at it from the outside in, you don't understand the business concept of it. You're looking at it from the end user concept. Something like just an ink pen, for example. Why do they make them the way they do? Well, they make them the way they do because they're exceedingly inexpensive to make, and they can sell them at a profit. And so all the things that you would like to have in them, to make them more usable and more enjoyable, well, that doesn't necessarily create the profit margin that is desired by these companies, or actually needed by these companies. Because anymore, you have a profit margin that's down a little bit, and nobody buys your stock. You can't get any money to do anything. Yeah, it's an interesting conundrum, if you will. Part of it is finance, part of it is business, and a lot of times the companies that are run, they really have very little to do with what they actually sell. It's just curious. Anyhow, finished off the shave of the day with Clubman, Pinot, and so good stuff there. I'm about out, so need to get some more. And nice Ford Galaxy convertible just drove by. Wow. That's another thing that I've been intrigued by here lately, is especially after finding Jay Leno's channel, a couple of weeks ago, and been keeping an eye out for classic cars, and geez, brings me back to the day. It's just good stuff. But anyhow, that was the shave of the day. So I am out and about at the store, at Lowe's as a matter of fact, so that I can buy a new ceiling fan. Now you're probably thinking, what the heck are you doing buying a ceiling fan? Well, all right. Down here in South Carolina, we have ceiling fans in all of our bedrooms anyhow. Just so you get a little bit of air circulation, helps with the air conditioning. It's all around not a bad thing. And the ceiling fans that came with the house have the bulb light kits that hang down below the ceiling fan, and one of them finally decided to let loose and short out and pop the fuse and pop the circuit breaker anyhow. And so I am replacing it because it is old and obnoxious, and just I don't want to mess with it anymore. So one of the things that my wife asked is that see if you can find a ceiling fan that does not take the little itty bitty candelabra bulbs. And so I got to looking, And not one of the ceiling fan kits that I saw had anything but candelabra bulbs. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's rather strange. I mean, electrically, why the heck would you have candelabra bases, the little itty bitty things, when you can have just the regular, whatever they are, just the regular standard bases? So, quick Google search in the store there, and it turns out that apparently, in the 2007 energy bill that was passed by our illustrious Congress way back when, because they're so keen on keeping us safe and energy efficient and all that crap. What they did was they specified that any fan kits that apparently get shipped out with lights have to be shipped with CFLs, compact fluorescent bulbs. Okay. And if they weren't shipped out with compact fluorescent bulbs, that they needed to have candelabra bases or intermediate bases. So what do the fan manufacturers do? They put candelabra bases in everything because they probably don't cost any different, and they get around with not having to ship with CFLs. And, you think about it, I mean, CFL, shipping them and everything else, you got any damaged packaging or anything, all of a sudden you got mercury issues. I mean, I wouldn't touch those things with a 10-foot pole. But meanwhile, what that means is that you cannot buy a ceiling fan anywhere with anything but the candelabra or the intermediate bases. So I bought the stuff that I believe I need, and I will convert them myself at home to standard bases. And it's lunacy. Why in the world does the government get to tell us what kind of bases we have on our lights? Now, they're sitting there saying, oh, well, somebody's probably out there saying, well, the government didn't say. No, they didn't say directly. It's that unintended consequences garbage that gets in the way. It's just, it's just so frustrating. I mean, realistically, if a person wants to go out and buy regular incandescent bulbs, fine, let them. Well, their energy bill will be higher. Okay, they pay it. Let them. It's their money. If they want incandescent bulbs that are dimmable and everything else, let them. Oh no, we can't do that. We have to have LEDs. We have to have halogen, we have to have CFLs, we have to have all this other stuff. Well, the market never demanded any of this stuff. We were quite happy with incandescent bulbs before the government stepped in. I mean, granted, LED bulbs have come a long way, and I do have a lot of LED bulbs because they last just about forever. I will not have a CFL in my house. I'm sorry, they don't last long unless you have them in constant on or very long duration on situations. They just don't work well. But that's a consumer decision. That is not a government decision. It's like, since when did government Now, I understand, and people out in California that are facing a drought might say, but it's necessary. Okay, fine. But the government shouldn't tell everybody in the country that when your toilet flushes, it has to flush it so many gallons per minute. I mean, just come on. Really? We have to go that far where daddy and mommy government have to take care of us? Next thing you know, they're going to come out and say, well, you can't shave with a straight razor because, oh my God, it's dangerous and you could cut yourself. Would that be okay? No, you'd probably raise holy heck about that because it impacts something that you care about and you can see the results instantly. It's when they have these unintended consequences, these loopholes that were probably put in by manufacturers to begin with, by paying representatives lobbying fees and all this other stuff, and here, have some campaign money, and, oh, by the way, it would be a real good idea if we included CFLs. You should put that in there. Meanwhile, you go to the store and you can't find a light bulb for less than $7 or $8. I mean, my God, that's highway robbery. An incandescent light bulb used to cost pennies. Pennies. And now you're dealing with a situation where a flippin' light bulb, costs $2 or $3 or more. If you go with an LED, $14, $15, $20 for an LED. Have we lost our mind? We took something that was perfectly good. We took something that was perfectly capable. We had factories here in the United States that were building light bulbs. We hadn't outsourced anything. We were making light bulbs here in the United States. In one fell swoop, we got rid of light bulbs, and voila! Now all of a sudden, everything's coming from somewhere else or being built. It's more expensive. Meanwhile, what's happening to your pay? Is it going up? What's happening to your taxes? I'll bet they're going up too. How about the cost of food? Have you looked at that lately? Cost of energy? I mean, everybody has bought gas and seen that fluctuate. Do you remember back when it was less than $1 a gallon? Oh yeah, that was back in the day when we had incandescent light bulbs for everything as well. Yeah, I don't know that we're really doing ourselves much good. We're essentially shooting ourselves in the foot every time we turn around because somebody thinks it will be a good idea, and they'll get a few political points for being able to say, well, we care about the environment. Well, I care about the environment too. I really do. And I got to tell you, CFLs are not environmentally friendly. They're not. Take a CFL. What are you supposed to do with it? Are you supposed to just throw it in the trash can like you do with an old incandescent? Or are you supposed to throw it away in a special waste container because of its hazardous mercury containing, the mercury vapor that's in it? Okay, so that all of a sudden is going into our landfills because people don't know how to deal with them? Gee, yeah, that's safe. You want to be environmentally friendly. You want to save electricity. Okay, fine. How about a CFL that costs you more, but when you turn it on and off continuously, like a closet or something like that, it fails. It's not the bulb itself that fails. It's the electrical mechanism that turns the bulb on and off. Essentially the ballast component in a fluorescent light fixture. That's the part that fails. It's maddening. It's absolutely maddening. I really don't understand why we can't let the market decide, why we can't let the consumers, people like you and I, decide what it is we need in our homes, how it is we need to live. Okay, fine. If LEDs are better for you and you like the light that LED gives off, great. Buy an LED. It'll last forever. I got no problem with that. In fact, I would encourage that. But don't get rid of the choice of an incandescent bulb. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just, we do more and more with restrictions, more and more with, no, you can't. No, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. And it's not that, no, don't use this and use something else. It's like, no, this is completely, no, this is gone. It's just, come on. From a market standpoint, as a consumer sitting out here, it looks to me like we are banning the things that work well, and are inexpensive. An incandescent bulb, for example, is dimmable. Some of the new bulbs are not. Gee, how many people have dimmer switches? How many dimmer switches have been bought over the years? A lot. And all of a sudden, those things are useless and potentially fire hazards and dangerous. Oh, but we're doing this to save energy. Sure, you do it to save energy, and if a couple people burn down their houses, it's no big deal, right? Ugh. It's maddening. It's absolutely maddening. I'd really like to have a politician come out just once and say, you know what, I want to get in office so that I can go through the law books and start taking laws and throwing them out, getting rid of them because they are useless. They are getting in the way of all kinds of things. They're getting in the way of entrepreneurs. They're getting in the way of new inventions, of innovation, of inexpensive living. And we just need to get rid of some of these things. These are stupid. We shouldn't be, We shouldn't have a law that says you have to have so much water going down a toilet every time you flush it. That is stupid. The government should not be in the business of doing that. And I would really it would be very refreshing if a politician for once got up there and said, you know what, we have too many laws on the books. We need to start taking a few out. You never hear that. The only thing you ever hear is somebody saying, we need a law. We need a law. No, we don't. We have too many dang laws. We have so many laws, we can't figure out what laws we have. It's incredible. It is absolutely incredible. And it's, we sit around and we wonder, why are we in such a mess? Well, I can point you in one direction that probably has something to do with it. It's like building codes. It's absolutely crazy. Why do we have a building code that says I can only have a house built in a certain fashion? There are multiple ways of building a house. And, there are alternative means that are easily just as viable as what we do, on a day-to-day basis. And we have laws that say, no, you can't do that. Why? It doesn't benefit the population. Now, who does it protect? It protects greatly the builders. Because then they have a standard house, a standard method, blah, blah, blah. Potentially, it protects the banks. Because now they have a known entity that they're loaning money to. But at the same time, if you have alternate building methods that are so inexpensive that you don't need to borrow money to build them, why are you stopping people? Why are we as a society stopping people from using that? It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. It's just, yeah, and then you get into the whole raw milk thing. Oh my gosh, please. It's crazy. We want people to be more conscious of their environment. We want people to eat better. That's a big thing. But yet at the same time, we won't allow people to put gardens in their front yard because, oh my God, it's unsightly. Really? You got to be kidding me. You can't have it both ways. If the backyard isn't a good place for the garden, why not put it in the front yard? I mean, gee whiz. It really just makes me want to go out and, I don't know, buy my own island somewhere and just tell everybody to leave me alone. It's really just crazed. And the problem is I don't see it getting any better. I just see it getting worse. So, if you think about it, you might want to call your congressman, legislator, and, I don't know, talk to him a bit. Get to know him. Go look to see what kind of laws are preventing you from doing what you really want to do. I got to go home now, and I got to spend about 30 to 40 minutes rewiring a light kit in a ceiling fan because our illustrious government has some notion somewhere that putting candelabra bases or intermediate bases in a light kit on a ceiling fan somehow saves energy. Idiots. Well, that concludes this episode of the Brush and Soap and Blade Podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you have some suggestions or would like a topic covered, drop me an email at brushandsoapandblade@gmail.com or give me a call at 864-372-6234 or contact us on Twitter at Brush and Blade. You can also visit us at our blog, brushandsoapandblade.wordpress.com. As always, we're available on iTunes and Stitcher. The Tale of the Screws. This is a good one. The ceiling fan comes with sockets. Okay, now there are candelabra sockets, and not what I wanted. So I bought myself some standard sockets to replace them. Now the thing that has been interesting is that the candelabra sockets are held on with a a nut that goes onto a little bracket that holds the socket in place. The socket itself is just a molded ceramic, and it looks like it was molded around the electrical stuff after it was soldered, which is interesting and just a tad aggravating at the same time because, well, it makes it difficult to get things out. Basically, to get to the wires, you have to break things. So that's kind of an annoyance. But the thing that's really curious about all of this, and I mean really curious, is the screws. The sockets that I bought, the replacement sockets, it's a keyless socket adapter kit that I bought at Lowe's, appears to have metric threads. They're metric screws, metric nuts. Everything's metric in the thing. But the ceiling fan that I bought, the sockets themselves have American screws in them. So the American nut that hooks on, just, American nuts don't work real good with metric threads, and so you have to watch out, especially for the smaller things, because they're not necessarily compatible, and so that's what I've run into here. Well, it's a tad annoying, but interesting at the same time. So I went to gone to the store, bought the correct items, and so we are in the hunt and getting the stuff that we need for this little conversion project. So there you go.